Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you another morning Serenity journaling session in my junk journal. This is a real junk journal made out of junk, literally junk, off of my desk. And my word for January, well, for the whole year, starting in January, is Serenity. So my practice is to get up in the morning, go into my studio, and do some warm up with some calming music and some tea and just, do something in my junk journal to get me warmed up for the day and get me calm to get a good start to what I know is probably going to be chaos, as it usually is. Again, we're talking about integration here on this page. Two different papers that obviously we've got a warm theme going with the kind of manila yellow on one side and the red security envelope on the other, but they're not the same and we need to get them working together. And so I started with some gesso. I don't always gesso in my journals, but since this journal is made out of very inferior paper, it's a good idea to just give it a seal and, give it a little bit of stability with some gesso. So I just use white gesso as just a real thin coat. Then the other day I was doing some play with stencils and a gel plate and using these Arteza metallic acrylic paints because I have them, so why not? And I decided to use them on this page today since they were already out and still sitting on my desk. It seemed to make sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but I put I picked out some colors that were similar to the background, orangey red and yellowy goldy colors. And there's 36 colors in this Arteza set. I don't represent Arteza, I just happen to have these products. I do believe they were given to me by Arteza at one point, and I might be able to find the original video where I did a portrait with them. But I don't use them, and so getting them out and using them is a good plan. Use it up, right? So I put the colors on there, and then I just kind of smooshed them around with a brush. This is a 1-inch flat brush, and no technique here, just smooshing. I like the colors together. I used a little bit of pink too. I brought in a little bit like a pinky color, and then the orangey yellowy colors, and that just automatically makes those two pages integrated. So easy, right? So easy. There wasn't anything I was really thinking of saving on the pages. I do know that these are both envelopes, and later on in the process, I kind of give a nod to the envelope idea. But the next thing I did was to take a stencil, and you can see that my stencil ripped the paper. That's how yucky this paper is. But if you are one of those people, and I know there's a lot of them out there, who buy all these beautiful journals to work in and then never work in them because they're too beautiful to work in, junk journaling might be for you. Make your own journal out of junk, and then you won't care if the page rips or it's inferior paint or it wrinkles or bubbles. You won't care because it's just junk. It doesn't matter. It's for practice. It's for fun. It's for giving yourself some serenity in your life by doing some art practice that isn't going to stress you out. Journaling in general should not stress you out, but I know there are people who buy the pretty journals. I've even sold some of my pretty journals, and I hope that those people who bought them are using them. When I do sell journals, I have paint on the paper, but they're not completed. They're ready to start because a lot of people are really stressed out by a white page. And what do you do when there's this pure white page, whether it's art or whether it's writing? Sometimes it's hard to get past that. So having a little bit of color on there to give a start is good. And in these junk journals, same thing. I mean, I already had some reddish color and some yellowish color to start with. And so then I could play off of that and keep with that color tone and integrate with that. So then I decided to do a little bit of collage. like I said, I had been playing with stencils in this metallic paint, so I had some things still on my desk left over from that stencil gel print session. And so I have these little strips. When I gel print, I generally end up with a section of paper because of the size that I use. I use the 6x6 and the 5x7, or some smaller plates. I'll end up with extra paper around the edge, and I don't like to waste paper. So when I go to put away those papers, I tear those edges off with a straight ruler. I just tear them, and I end up with strips. And then occasionally, and I did it a little bit at that gel printing session. I'll link that at the end of the video. It was just a couple days ago, so you could go watch that and see how I made these little stripy strips with the plate. And it's the same stencil that I used to remove some of the paint in the background to give that vertical linear pattern in the background when I ripped the paper. Same stencil. And then this other one is a mask, and that was actually one of the junkier pieces that I made. It was just the stencil getting plopped down with the black on it onto a piece of paper that already had some color on it. It's rice paper. And, out of all those pretty things that I made, that's what I end up using. But this is a junk journal, so it's junk. It's not complete junk, but, that was one of the pieces, because it was really just getting the black paint off my mask stencil. So I kind of made some horizontal lines, some vertical lines. I'm not thinking, but I know about the rule of thirds, balance, composition. So I know that this is going to be pleasing to the eye because I didn't put everything right smack in the center. And that's what makes your eye kind of travel around the page in kind of a triangular situation. And so those are just things that I don't think about as much anymore, but just I think it looks better that way, and so that's why I do it. So I put the flower to the left and 2/3 down, put the lines on the right 2/3 down so that your eyes follow. And making sure I get everything glued down there. I'm using soft gloss gel from Golden. Usually you see me using a matte gel because I like matte things. But in the case of this metallic paint, if I used my matte medium, what would happen? I would matte down the metallic paint, which is dumb because why use metallic paint if you're just going to turn it into matte paint? That's just silly, right? So having a gloss medium of some sort around is if you're going to use glittery things or metallic-y things sometimes in your art is a good idea. I know some people just want to only have one medium. What one medium should I have? I would say that the one medium is the Liquitex Matte Gel Medium. That's my favorite, and if you're only going to have one, then that's it. But I also think you should have a fluid matte medium, and I think you should have some sort of a gloss medium in case you're going to use something metallic. So 3 mediums: a fluid, a gel in matte, and a gloss. Unless you're a glossy person, then you should just have the gloss gel in both fluid and gloss. And that would be only 2. I tend to like my things not to be too shiny most of the time, unless it's intentional like this. So then I took my fingers, because sometimes your fingers are your best tools, and I kind of finger painted my flower. It had some different paint on it, and then it was mostly white, and I just was like, meh, I don't really like it. I want it to look better. So I used those same colors that I use in the background, and the metallic paint is very, very transparent. It's translucent paint. It's not opaque at all. There might be a couple colors that are, but most of them are not in that metallic set. So it was cool to be able to just finger paint right over the black lines. Not a problem. So now I was thinking back to the fact that these are envelopes, and there was a postmark and a stamp place on one of them, and I thought, hey, I have a ton of postage stamps, used postage stamps that I think are really interesting looking. They're art, they're little bits of art, and they have those those vertical lines on them. And so I thought, well, I'll just look in my little drawer of postage stamps and I'll add those to my collage. Back in the day, I used to do mail art. I don't know if any of you, the rest of you did that, but if you did, give me a comment below and tell me that you used to do that, or maybe you still do it. And it was the idea of decorating envelopes really beautiful and then sending them to people and swapping back and forth with this art going through the mail, which is a cool idea, right? All the people who are looking at the mail, the mailmen and the people in the office or whatever, could see this art, and I thought it was fun. And so it's kind of like doing mixed media, but it was doing mixed media on an envelope and maybe illustration or whatever, and putting something inside. You'd usually have some little thing inside, but the part of it that was mail art was making the envelope beautiful. And so I just have always kind of had an attraction to mail and to stamps. I mean, I don't collect them like someone who has these perfectly, that type of collecting of stamps, but I do save pretty stamps that I get in the mail. I tear them off the envelopes and keep them. Most of the stamps nowadays that we get are the same forever stamp with the flag on it, which is cool. But occasionally I do get pretty ones from different people in the mail. And these are pretty ones. So I stuck them down with a glue stick. And then I had this little piece of rice paper that I had stenciled the word love at one point. And so I decided to put that on. But then the paint was so light in color that I couldn't really see it once I stuck it on. So I got out a pen and I'm doing some mark making, and I put some little scratchy, sketchy lines around the words that you could see it. And then I'm doing kind of these vertical lines. I'm thinking about the lines that go across the postage. I'm thinking about my composition of horizontal and vertical, and I just thought it'd be interesting to put kind of like almost like some stems, and put those in a couple places with this pen. It's got a fat tip on it. It's not a fine pen, so it's making fatter marks. And then I thought maybe I would, in some of the places where the paint seemed to cover up the lines a little bit more after I finger painted, I would kind of go back in and highlight those black lines again. Not being super fussy, but just kind of a sketchy, quick mark making. Sometimes, I mean, I know the person who designed this mask stencil is Tracy Bautista. And so when I draw over a stencil design, I almost feel like I'm connecting with the person who designed it. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. She doesn't know me, but I don't know, just drawing over someone else's lines sometimes feels like a connection to me. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. If you do, leave me a comment, because maybe I'm not as crazy as I think, but I probably am. So I sometimes enjoy just tracing over lines that someone else drew sometime. She drew that. And now I've drawn it, kind of. I don't know. Weird, I know. So then I decided I would put some of that darker pink and metallic paint onto the letters as well, because they still just seemed too light with that very pale pink. So I thought they would look better with some more pizzazz. So I did that, and I'm like, I think it's mostly done. I think, right? Seems done, but I still had to add a few more things, just little things. So the next thing was to take an ink pad, and a black ink pad. This is a VersaFine Clair, and go around the edges and just drag the pad along the edges to kind of make a frame. These two pages aren't the same, so you're ending up seeing the page in the back, which kind of slightly bugs me. So when I go to do that page, I'm going to need to do something that isn't completely clashing with this page. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll find out together probably sometime in the year, because I'm going to continue doing this, and every once in a while I do film it. And then the last thing I did was, after that, I thought, oh, that looks better. I like things to be enclosed. I like the frame around things. And then I, of course, had to do white highlights. After I looked at it for a while, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, need to do some more white on here. There is some white that has been, that is the envelopes where they're torn, but that's really the only white on the page. So, gonna get out that handy dandy fine tip Posca pen, acrylic, white, opaque ink in a pen. Love it, love it, love it. And do some highlights. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this morning Serenity art journaling session. People seem to be responding well to these videos, so I'll probably continue making them. They're short, and they're not really instructional so much as they are just for fun. So I'll probably keep doing it. If you did like it, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. You can write me a comment or a question. Subscribe to the channel. Almost to 21,000 people, I think, is the right number. So that would be fun. You can use my Amazon store. You can donate to my channel with PayPal, or you can join my channel membership if you want to. So that's it for me for this video today. I'll see you in a couple days. Bye-bye.